Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. You are here on the Your Strata Property Facebook page and going out to LinkedIn as well. And I am Amanda Farmer, enjoying a Friday afternoon with you here live, as I like to do every couple of weeks. I'm really looking forward to spending the afternoon with you. I would love to hear how your week's been this week. I expect maybe it's been a little better than our friends in the Philippines with the typhoon that is going on over there. I'm not sure how many of you know, but our Rochelle, who helps me out inside the membership and here on this page, as well as Pia, they are both in the Philippines. So I can tell you that they are safe and sound. Their families are all safe, which is awesome. But the internet is not faring so well. So I am here this afternoon, flying solo, knees knocking. I usually have Rochelle and Pia helping me out in the background. So we're going to see how we go with Amanda sans any assistance here. But I shouldn't say that. I do have some stand-ins here. I have my Michelles. Some of you will know my Michelles from my legal practice, Michelle Saunders and Michelle Zhu. They are stepping in for Rochelle and Pia, and they are going to help us out in the comments as we may need it, post in some links that I'm going to share with you, and all in all, try to keep me out of trouble here on this live. So Rochelle and Pia are watching this later. We're sorry. We apologize in advance. We're glad you're safe, and we hope that your internet is back soon. So if you're over in the membership and you're in the forum and you are wondering why some posts may be looking a little messy and you may not have had a response to your request for support, we apologize. We are dealing with the state of the world at the moment, but we hope that Rochelle and Pia will be back online soon. And between now and then, I'm just gonna jump in and do my thing. I will help you guys as much as I can. Tech not being my number one skill. I try to stick to the law, leave the tech to others, but you know, we all got to learn new things every now and then. So how has your week been? We are at this crazy end of the year where everything just goes a bit nuts in Strata. I know when Rena and I talk on the podcast, we're always saying the week's been busy. It's always a busy week. I have had a big week. I had a hearing this week. NCAT in New South Wales, the New South Wales Civil and Administrative Tribunal, is still running hearings by phone, appearances by phone, and they also do this thing called the virtual hearing room. I'd be really interested to know if anyone has experienced a hearing in the NCAT virtual hearing room. It's basically software that you log into. It looks like New South Wales Department of Justice software that they're using, and we're on video and audio. I had an interesting experience where apparently everybody could see me, but I couldn't see anybody else. So I'm not sure if the virtual hearing room has problems for anybody else or how you're going in other states. It's odd that our tribunal, I think, is still not having hearings in person. Our courts are, to the extent that they need to. When you have hearings where you've got witnesses and you need to do some cross-examination, that's what we had on Wednesday, it's important that we can see witnesses, we can see each other. I know that's happening smoothly in our courts. I'm not sure why our tribunal is still closed. I don't think we can even file over the counter here in New South Wales. We still have to leave stuff on the doorstep of the registry. I am seeing a number of you come on in, and thank you to those who are saying hello to me. Hi, Natalie. Natalie Fitzgerald saying, Amanda, flying it alone. You got this. Look at this. Rochelle will be proud of me. I even remembered to show the comment on the screen there. Thank you, Natalie. It is good to have your support. And hello to Sean. It's good to have you here today. Sean is giving me some tech tips here as well. The camera shakes, but the frame and picture shake separately. I don't know what that means, Sean. I don't know. Do you know what it is? Is it because I'm standing up and I'm leaning on my stand-up desk, which is a bit wobbly, as long as the mic is not knocking and annoying anybody, because that's happened before too, hasn't it, guys? I'm in Sydney, and the typhoon's just arrived. Who else is in Sydney and suddenly the storm is coming through? It's going to be an interesting weekend. Gary's here. Hey, nice to see you. And Sean is saying hi to Gary. I love our YSP family catching up on a Friday. Has anybody bought a Friday drink with them? Let me know. Let me know what you are easing into the weekend with. Yes, we're going to talk about Strata stuff. We're going to get there, guys. With the end of year craziness that I was talking about and busy weeks, sometimes it gets hard to exercise. Hard to take time out to spend time on what is most important, our health. And I'm the first one to confess, I often sacrifice the exercise when I have to be in front of the computer, drafting submissions, putting evidence together, doing lots and lots of important tribunal work. That's the kind of thing that can take your eye off the ball. But today, because I hadn't been for a few days, I went over to the gym, and I went over in the middle of the day, which I don't often do. And I have noticed at the middle of the day in the gym now, there's lots and lots of people. And on the rare occasion that I would go, say 12 months ago, during a lunchtime, there would not be lots and lots of people. So I'm wondering today, is this an effect of everybody working from home, people then being able to take time out to pop down to the gym in the middle of the day and do a workout, which I think is awesome. Perhaps we're going to see, that's one of our positive outcomes from the pandemic. We're going to see some more healthy people taking time out of their day and then being more productive for the afternoon when they come back nicely refreshed, as I have been after my trip to the gym. I am also wondering if the same thing is happening within our strata buildings with our gyms and our pools. More people at home than we have ever seen before. Are we seeing a lot more people using those facilities and what the impact of that has been? We've definitely talked about that a fair bit on the podcast and here on the page. So just a little observation that I had here today. Speaking of health, have you tested your bylaws? Have you checked out the bylaw pressure test? You may have seen this here on the page a couple of days ago. I think I put it up earlier in the week and over on LinkedIn, and I launched it on the podcast this week. Our podcast episode, I shared with you the bylaw pressure test, and I am going to ask one of my dear Michelle's to pop the link to the test into the comments here so you can check it out if you haven't already. I'm just flicking back over to my comments, and anyone coming in would have heard me, may not have heard me say earlier, I'm flying solo, so I'm going to do the best I can with my tech here. I'm seeing heaps of comments come through, and I'm going to try and keep up. Let me know if you have done the test, and if you have done the test, did you get your result? Now, here's a little printout that I made earlier. This doesn't look as pretty as it does in the actual test, because the actual test has lots of nice color that my dear Tanya, our designer, has put together. I want to know what your test result has been. Have you got more than 75? Have you got between 50 and 74? Have you got between 20 and 49? How healthy are your bylaws? And just to be clear, because there was a little bit of confusion, the lower the result, the less pressure, the healthier your bylaws are. The higher the result, the more pressure, the more unhealthy your bylaws are. And we need to take some swift action to sort that out, guys. So if you've done the test and you have a result, Sean's telling me his result. Oh, results at 5. I thought, Sean, that your result was 5. Okay, which may not have been possible if you check out the test. So I'm looking forward to seeing your result, Sean. Come back and post it here. Gary has got 24. That's awesome. Your bylaws are in the healthy zone, Gary. Healthy for now, but the focus is going to be on keeping them there. We have had so many cases just this last year, just 2020, coming out of our tribunal and our courts all about bylaws and telling us what we can and can't do, what we should and shouldn't be doing. And some of those cases have been a bit surprising. So we've talked about blanket pet bans, and first they were okay, and then soon after they were not so okay. We've had cases about original developer bylaws and common property rights that are granted under those bylaws. We have had cases about flooring. We have had cases about smoking. We've been talking about short-term letting and a new code of conduct. So all of these things that we either are regulating or can be regulating with bylaws, we need to really be looking at whether we're doing that properly now and in line with this ever-changing, it seems like, ever-changing laws. I'm going to flick back over here to some more comments here. I'm getting some test results come through. I am seeing a comment from Emiliana, who is sharing her sympathy with the Philippines, which I was speaking about earlier. Yes, it is a really sad situation over there, and we are hoping that your family too, Emiliana, is safe and sound. Sean doesn't know how to spell gym, so he's obviously not going to the gym. Hey, Petra, I can see you there. Petra got 30. That is cool. I love you guys. See, preaching to the converted here. You guys know how to get your bylaws, right? Petra's result on the bylaw pressure test is 30. Sean believes that Gary has cheated because he got 24. Sean, you've done it now, Sean, and you've got 44. Just snuck in. Oh, you're borderline there, Sean. Bit of pressure. And pets are welcome in your building, so that is good. Okay, I'm seeing Bill and Ben, who is mentioning the Vickery case. I am going to get to that, Bill and Ben. Add a bit more to your comments if you like, because I haven't read it all. So you're just getting the summary from me. But I did get so far as to note that Leeming did dissent in that case. So I found that interesting as well. Your bylaw test is good, Bill and Ben. You have a small cancer, the PEP bylaw, the famous Bill and Cliff's PEP bylaw. Yes, I know about that one. Awesome. One of the questions on the bylaw pressure test is whether you have had your bylaws reviewed by a strata lawyer within the last 12 months. And if you answer yes to that, you get a nice low score, which is what we want. But even so, we've had so many changes this year that you'll hear a lot of the strata lawyers saying that it's time to have another look at that and make sure that what's the changes to the law that have come about through all of these recent cases are reflected in your bylaws. Because you look at these buildings and look, we work with them, we work with the buildings, we work with the lot owners who go through these cases, and we are talking hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees because a bylaw hasn't been drafted properly, it hasn't been interpreted properly, it hasn't been applied properly, it shouldn't be there. And there's a lot of preventative things that you can be doing to avoid that kind of outcome. One of those preventative things is to come and join me at the bylaw bootcamp. Did you see that? If you've done the pressure test, you will shortly after the pressure test have received your invitation to the bylaw bootcamp. I am running this bootcamp on 3 different dates at 3 different times. Now, just to be clear, these are live, online, 1-hour sessions. They are live. They are not recordings. We are running a bootcamp on Thursday. I wrote this down. Don't guess, Amanda, get the dates right. We are running a boot camp on Thursday, the 20th, 19th. Someone's going to give it to me. The 19th, thank you. Thursday, the 19th of November at midday, which is next week. These are all Australian Eastern Daylight Times. We are running a boot camp on Friday, the 20th of November at 4 p.m. That is next Friday. I chose the 4 p.m. time slot because I know you guys who are here like that time slot. We've already got lots of people registered for that one. So tick, that's been a good time. We are running a bootcamp on Sunday, the 22nd of November at 8 p.m. So 3 separate live sessions. What are we doing in bootcamp? Well, I'm going to tell you during the bootcamp the 4 hidden dangers that are lurking inside your bylaws. Bit of a teaser there. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to dig deeper on these cases. I talked about them in the podcast this week, and I've just summarized a couple of them or the issues coming out of them for you here now. What are these cases about? Why are they putting your bylaws at greater risk of successful challenge? I know you guys like a good story. You like a good case. You want to hear about what others are going through. A bit of, what do we call it? Schadenfreude there going on. I'm going to walk you through them. I'll give you the details. I'm going to give you the single question that you can apply to test the validity of any bylaw at any time. A little cheat sheet there for you. And overall, we are going to unlock the power of bylaws to transform your communities from ailing to thriving in 2021. We need 2021 to be a good year, guys. We deserve it. It is time, and let's get things right from the foundations of the governance structure of our strata schemes. And that is, in my view, bylaws. So let me know, continue to let me know your bylaw pressure test result. I've just told you about bootcamp, but I haven't told you where to go to to sign up for bootcamp, you go to stratabootcamp.com. And if we haven't already popped that into the comments, Michelle is going to pop that in there now for you. Thank you. I can see it. Sean is signing up, which is awesome. Michael, I just saw a comment from Michael. Where are you? Michael is here, and he got 29 for the pressure test. Excellent. These are my students, guys. You guys have been here. You have been applying what you've been learning. I like these results. But remember, even if you've got a low result, the way that our tribunal works, it can change tomorrow, man. We have had appeal panel decisions overturned this year. We really need to continue to be on top of this stuff. All right, so let's talk about one of those appeal panel decisions that was overturned by our Court of Appeal just this week. And that is the case of Vickery and the owners of Strata Plan 80412. This is a case that shook things up when it was heard in the tribunal, and the tribunal found that it did not have the power, it didn't have jurisdiction to award damages in favor of lot owners when the owners corporation has failed in its duty to repair and maintain the common property, and a lot owner has suffered some loss. So if I take you back to when our 2015 Act first commenced in New South Wales, commenced in November 2016, we had a new provision in there which allowed for a lot owner to claim damages from their owners corporation if they suffered some loss because of a failure to repair and maintain the common property. So we have, for example, we're in the penthouse unit and we have water leaks, and this is an investment property and we can't rent it out. We can't get tenants in there. We are losing rent at $1,000 a week. The lot owner can claim that money back from the owners corporation if it is proven that the owners corporation has failed to repair and maintain the common property, and that's why the lot owner is suffering their loss. It was assumed that those claims could be made in the tribunal. Generally, as part of your claim to have the common property repaired, you could also put in your claim for your money, get some money back. Tribunal said, no, we don't have, eventually, after a few different cases, eventually said, no, we don't have the power because it's not expressed in our legislation to award damages in that situation. You have to go to a court. And I had a very rather in-depth, and what I've heard from listeners, a very helpful discussion about this with Alison Benson, who is one of my fellow New South Wales legal practitioners. We talked about it on the podcast in episode number 203, and we've got a link there for you. That was in January, February this year. We were talking in Noosa. We were at the lawyers conference, so that would have been, yes, that would have been February this year. And Alison gives you a really good summary, much better than I just gave you, about how that law works and what the NCAT appeal panel had decided in the case that was known as Pulisson. That was then appealed, and we now have this Vickery decision, which says, no, the appeal panel got it wrong, and the tribunal can actually award damages if a lot owner claims them where the owners corporation has failed to repair and maintain the common property. Now, as Bill and Ben was pointing out earlier in the comments, this decision was Court of Appeal, 3 judges, but we have a split bench. We have 2 judges who have said, yes, the tribunal has this power, and 1 judge, Justice Leeming, saying, no, I think you're wrong, and I don't think the tribunal has this power, which is always very interesting. And Justice Leeming is quite an esteemed justice, taught me at law school, taught me equity, and it's interesting to see his decision, his dissenting decision. So I'm just scrolling back to show, there we go, Bill and Ben's comment there. We have a link to the case, go and check it out. I have the case here somewhere on my floor. I'm slowly reading through it. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more on the podcast. So give you some more details there about that Vickery case, what it means for damages claims. It's a case that's important, not just because what it says about damages, but there was some doubt until this case was handed down about exactly what powers the tribunal had to order anything, really, when it came to strata schemes. The appeal panel had decided, as well as not having the specific power to award damages, there was a real doubt over whether the tribunal could make any order that it wasn't otherwise expressly empowered to make under our strata legislation. So if that decision stood, it was a real restriction on the jurisdiction of the tribunal to resolve disputes in ways that would assist our communities. So it is a relief in some quarters that that has now been resolved. I do know that there are some cases currently before the courts, the local court, district court, Supreme Court, where owners are claiming damages from the owners corporation, and they've gone to the court instead of to the tribunal to make that claim because of this decision that the appeal panel had made very early this year, and query now what's going to happen with those cases. Are they now going to be transferred back to the tribunal to be heard there? So watch this space. More information coming about the fallout from that case. Another Court of Appeal case that we had a couple of months ago, and was it a couple of months ago? Probably. And we have talked about it a lot here, of course, is the Cooper case and the Horizons Pets bylaw. I am raising this today, again, only because Jo Cooper has very generously shared on her Facebook page, or the group that she is running, I believe, called Pets in Strata, a copy of the Horizons Pets bylaw, which I understand just recently, within the last few days, has been adopted, a new bylaw adopted at the Horizon that permits the keeping of animals with approval, and the owners corporation must not unreasonably refuse to give that approval, with a whole series of conditions. I don't know if you can see that, and you probably can't see much because I've printed it on scrap paper because I'm cheap. So you're seeing some. But that's the 2 pages. 2 pages is pretty good, guys, compared to some of my bylaws. 2 pages is pretty good. There is, if you want to have a look at that, I don't have a link for it, Michelle, just letting you know, but I posted it further down this page earlier today. So scroll down a little after this video and you will see the link to a copy of the Horizons Pets bylaw. Thank you, Jo, for sharing that. That was very generous. These are public documents, registered bylaws, but they can be a little hard to get your hands on. So I think it's fabulous that we can share our bylaws for the benefit of others. And Jo will let us know, but I understand that she was supportive of that bylaw. There was a bit of back and forth negotiating, just from what I hear on the grapevine, but I'm pleased to see that that issue seems to have been resolved for that building for now, and we will see how the application of that bylaw rolls out. But look, the strata lawyers have all been saying it. You can try to keep your pet bans, uphold your pet bans. Good luck. Someone is perhaps going to try that and end up in the tribunal, and the tribunal is going to say that they are bound by the Court of Appeal's decision, and if you have a blanket pet ban, then it will be declared invalid. Why waste your time? Why waste your money going down that path? It is definitely time to be thinking about a different approach to pets in our apartment buildings. Excellent. Jo is here. Thank you, Jo. Jo says, welcome. Many amendments later. Okay, so Jo, are you saying that this version that you posted today is the version that you were ultimately happy to support, but there was a lot of back and forth? Just let me know. And yes, Bill and Ben is saying here that Roden, which was the other pet case that was running in the Elan, if I've got that right, at the same time as Jo's case, is in the Supreme Court because they had an adverse decision that was upholding their pet ban, the same as Jo did in the appeal panel. And unfortunately, their building didn't respond to the Cooper outcome. I think that's a good way to put it, Bill and Ben. And Mr. Roden has had to go and file that appeal. I've mentioned on the podcast a couple of weeks ago that I was hoping that wouldn't last too long, and that would be sorted out quite promptly. Jo is saying, yes, this version of the bylaw is supported by her besides the visitors clause. I did see you mention that, Jo. I think that's a clause here that says an owner or occupier of a lot must ensure that their invitees or visitors do not bring an animal except an assistance animal onto their lot or onto common property, including the parking garage. Is that the clause that you weren't happy about? So no, so visitors can't bring an animal. Interesting. Have a look at it. If you're looking to revise your pet bylaws, it's definitely good to go and have a look at other examples. Okay. Awesome. I'm seeing lots of chat there, and Sean chatting to Joe, which is very good. Love this space, guys. I am now going to talk to you about talk with you. It's different without a guest, guys. I do sometimes feel like I'm talking to you, at you. Apologies. Please do post in the comments your questions, your strata questions. Don't have to be about bylaws, don't have to be about pets. If you want to throw me a question, I am a New South Wales practitioner, so don't press me too hard on Queensland, WA, Victorian, South Australian, ACT strata law. Getting there, but feel free to post a question. We can use this time to improve our knowledge, and I will try to talk with you rather than at you. But for now, online strata meetings. These are here to stay. We really kicked off with these in 2020. The pandemic push that pushed us over to actually use this technology that is available to us, rely on the law that is available to us to have these kinds of meetings. So many more building strata managers getting comfortable with this method of meeting. Super, super efficient. Next Tuesday, this is why I've got my dates all mixed up. I'm doing 4 webinars next week, guys. 4 webinars. Next Tuesday is the 17th of November, and Women in Strata is putting on a webinar called Virtual Confidence, the Keys to Successful Online Strata Meetings. We're going to put the link here for you to register for free webinar, and men welcome as well. Just because it's Women in Strata doesn't mean men can't come. For sure, we welcome all strata managers. The content's going to be mainly pitched at strata managers who are running online strata meetings, but if you're a chairperson, if you're a secretary, if you're a lawyer who is involved in online strata meetings, there's definitely going to be some good stuff in there for you. Owners as well. For sure. We have some special guests joining us on the Women in Strata webinar. And a guest I'm really, really excited about is Anne-Marie Wilshire. And Anne-Marie has a company called Vibrant Voices, and she coaches women speakers and business owners on how to speak so that they love the sound of their own voice and speak with confidence and authority. I'm sure there's many people out there, not just women, who can relate to that. I know when I first started the podcast, and please don't go back. Don't do it. Don't go back and listen to those early episodes. It is painful. When I first started the podcast, I would have to listen back, and I still do, listen back every week to the episode before it was published. And at first, you'd listen to the sound of your own voice. You would hate it. It's happened to all of us. Imagine having to do that every week for half an hour plus, guys. That's what I do. I've eventually gotten used to it, and I like to think that I've gotten better at podcasting as well. But it's unavoidable having to or needing to listen back to the edited version of a podcast before it's published, especially when you have content like we do that is specific, that is legal. I want to make sure that I said the right section number, the right case name. I'm sending you to the right place. So I've tried to think about whether, do I have to listen to it? Yes, I do, to get it right for you guys. So I understand how it is to feel uncomfortable about putting yourself out there, being in a mode that you're not used to. And what Anne-Marie is going to share on this webinar is how you can use your voice confidently, what the tricks are, what the skills are, tone, volume, that kind of stuff, to come across as confident and authoritative, not authoritarian, Amanda, authoritative. So Anne-Marie has a toolkit of habits that help her clients to free their voice problems, and she's going to share them with us on the webinar. So we'll talk about what's different about using your voice online. Why is it different to being in a meeting room? How can you be the voice of authority? How can you be in your power state? I like that. How can you be in your power state to position you for a successful online strata meeting? We're also going to hear from Tim Sara, well known to so many of us. Tim, who has appeared here on this platform, who has appeared on webinars for us, who appears inside the membership. Tim is the Associate Director for Strata Choice at St. Leonard's, and he's got lots and lots of experience in strata management, as we know. And he has some hacks. He's got some hacks to share with us about online strata meetings. He's kind of the hack guy, the life hack guy, not the hack. He's not a hack. He's the life hack guy. And he's always got an easier way, a better way. How do we do this easier? Tim is very generous with sharing his own personal tips for how he manages his portfolio and what he's doing in online strata meetings to make them more enjoyable and more successful for everyone. And we're also going to be joined by Sarah Smith, who is a strata manager over with Rena Van Alst at Strata Central. And she's going to share what she's doing in her strata meetings online, what she's learned not to do, and what's working. So we're really, really looking forward to seeing many of you there. That is the Women in Strata Virtual Confidence webinar, the keys to successful online strata meetings. And we have the link to register. There's a few comments here, so it's gone up a little in the comments. Check it out for free. I will be there. I will be moderating the panel. As I said, 4 webinars next week, so I better get some good sleep tonight and eat my greens and be ready to go. I am going to flick back over to these comments, and how am I doing without my special assistant, without my usual assistants, Rochelle and Pia? Not to say my dear Michelle's, who have stepped in for them while their internet is getting back online over in the Philippines to help out. Okay. Yeah, Bill and Ben is saying, do you have time to comment on the Strata Schemes Management Amendment Sustainability Infrastructure Bill, which is with the upper house, I believe. Is that right? Last I checked, had it gone through the upper house with an amendment and was coming back to the lower house for consideration? Because that is the bill that has the amendment for the pet bylaws. And Bill and Ben, you might be asking Jo this because she might be across it more so than me. Because I don't know where we got to with that. It, as far as I'm aware, hasn't been passed. We were all excited about it previously because it had our change to our New South Wales legislation that allowed for sustainability infrastructure to be approved by an ordinary resolution rather than a special resolution. So we could have things like solar panels, which are an upgrade to our common property, installed with an ordinary resolution instead of the higher threshold of the special resolution. That's been lost a little bit because it's had this amendment to require that a building should not have a bylaw that purports to unreasonably restrict pets. I think that's the wording. And that's got a little bit of media attention. And that has been perhaps what's holding up the debate here. Yes, look, I'm catching up on the comments. Here's Jo saying, we had it passed in the upper house, it's now in the lower house. Yep, okay, good. So I'm glad I'm up to date there. All righty. Excellent, guys. I saw a question that came up earlier. This is not the question I'm thinking of, but this is, the Michelles are like the Veronicas, but better looking and more efficient. I love how Michelle, I don't know which Michelle that is, post that there under my name. They are indeed like the Veronicas in numerous ways. I had Dorothy, I think. Dorothy had a question. Can a strata committee ban residents from renting out their garages to respected neighbours outside of the strata complex? That is a very good question, Dorothy. And I know that you are in New South Wales. And in New South Wales, we cannot have a bylaw that restricts leasing. And the question that I would be asking is whether a bylaw that bans residents from renting out their garages to others is a bylaw that restricts leasing. And yes, I would think that it would be, even if the garage is part of the lot or if it is a separate lot in its own right. Sounds to me like it would be a bylaw that restricts leasing and therefore invalid. The clever cookies who are here will tell me if they have a view on that and if there's even been some cases or some legal guidance other than my postulations about that. But good question. And I like, Dorothy, how you say respected neighbours outside of the strata complex. I'd be interested to know if you're planning to have an application process to decide whether or not these neighbours are respected or not. And this is why I love this space, because here's Sean saying, Dorothy, I don't believe the OC has the power to restrict such leasing. There you go. They can try. They can, sure. So you sound like a lawyer, Sean. Is that going to be your the next career to embark upon? Okay, now If you haven't taken the pressure test, you want to head over and take that. Let me know what your pressure test score is, and we might just pop the link to that test in these comments again, because you guys are excited today. There's a lot of comments over here. I am scrolling back up to some questions that I missed earlier. I'm seeing a question from Alan. Hello, Alan. Welcome. Regarding pets, would the no pets rule be allowed for a complex where almost all the units are for holiday use, either by the owner or rented? Well, here's the thing, Alan. That's what our appeal panel said in the earlier case, in the case, the earlier Cooper case, is what my brain wants to say, where the tribunal said that these pet bans are indeed legal, later overturned by the Court of Appeal. And the tribunal had said that if the specific circumstances of the building are relevant. So, for example, a bylaw that bans pets in a building where it is all short-term holiday lets, or a very small building, the tribunal said, may well be a valid ban. Now, I'm going to come back to you on that, because there's been so many iterations of this case and different comments made. I just want to make sure that that wasn't the first instance comment. It may well have been. It may well have been. It's just ringing some bells there for me. It is a very good question, and it is one that a number of buildings, I'm sure, are going to be asking. Let's put that on the bootcamp topic list. Dear Michelle's, throw that into the bootcamp topic list, or make a note for me. I think that's going to be a really good question to dig into. If you haven't registered for Strata Bootcamp, I've said earlier that it is 3 live sessions happening next week, Thursday, the 19th of November. I got it right. At midday, Friday the 20th at 4 p.m. and Sunday the 22nd at 8 p.m. I am running these. That is me. I am live with you. No replays. So if you want to join in on bootcamp, if you want to ask me questions, you will absolutely be able to, but you need to be there live with me. It's fun. I've never done that setup before, so we'll see how we go. I think it's going to be super fun being able to catch up with many, many more of you live. Sean is commenting on my earlier suggestion that he become a lawyer. I had an owner say about an email I wrote today, our lawyer said, "You've done a magnificent job." Tell you what, we don't say that about many strata managers. So you must be doing well, Sean. Denise is saying the chairperson has written a very long bylaw that restricts pets in many ways. Yeah, Denise, I don't know if you saw the Horizons bylaw earlier. 2 pages. Is that very long? Probably. To someone who's not familiar with bylaws or the drafting of bylaws, it probably appears very long. To a lawyer, it ain't very long at all. 2 pages is nothing. So if you're in New South Wales, Denise, and even most other states around the country, I query whether that restriction is going to be legal. Question. Thank you, Francine. Francine has titled her comment question, so that I know that it is a question. That's very helpful. I am not going to show it on the screen because it's a bit long. The Strata Management Committee has padlocked the SEP 65 bin bay accessible gate without a special resolution, then had a meeting 3 months later to approve it. If any of my occupiers need a walking stick or mobility aid, why should I have to ask permission to go to NCAT? Shouldn't I have immediate rights at any time to the accessible gate required under New South Wales law? Yes, yes, you said New South Wales there. A bylaw cannot conflict with the Strata Schemes Management Act or any other law, Francine. So if the planning instruments for that building require this kind of access, and it sounds like that's what you're saying there, then if the bylaw prevents that access, is it contrary to the planning instrument and therefore invalid? We need to make sure that our bylaws are legal, that they are complying with not just the Act, but with any other law. And that's definitely something that we're going to be covering in the bootcamp. There's a few cases about that where bylaws have been contrary to development consents and development approvals, and they have therefore either been invalid or harsh, unconscionable, or oppressive, and therefore invalid on that basis. Excellent. Okay, good. And you're direct messaging each other. Bill and Ben has found, I believe that would be Bill and Ben, the Sustainability Infrastructure Bill. It's something that we have talked about it on a live previously. So I might go back and find that live for you and put a link there to it. I think I was with Megan Chatterton when it came up 2-3 months ago, when it was first before Parliament, and they'll have a link there for you as well. All right. Any more questions, guys? Feel free to send them through. My family was asking me this afternoon, what time are you finishing your happy hour? They still call it happy hour. I don't call it happy hour as much anymore. Happy to, but I did put it out there. What do we want to call it? Live chat, Friday live chat. I thought our livers might need a rest, so we better stop calling it happy hour, even though I still encourage you to bring a drink. It's just been one of those weeks. My family said, what time does happy hour finish? And I said, I'm by myself. And it's can be difficult sometimes to just talk by myself. And so I'll probably be half an hour. I'm looking at the time, it's 40 minutes. So apparently Amanda Farmer doesn't find it all that difficult to talk by herself. But I'm not by myself. I am here with all of you, lovely supporters. I love seeing your names. I love seeing you all here asking questions. I am, however, going to wrap up and let you get on with your Friday afternoon. I want you to do the bylaw pressure test. Let me know what you think. It's a bit of fun, guys. It is pointing you, I hope, in the right direction. All roads lead to check out your bylaws, understand this stuff, make sure you've done a review, make sure you're across these recent cases. And I want you to join me at Strata Bootcamp, Bylaw Bootcamp, where we're going to learn more, we're going to dig deeper, and we're going to find out how we can have a fabulous 2021 in Strata. I can't believe it. We are nearly there. stratabootcamp.com to join me next week. If you want to sign up for all three, go for it. I would love to see you there. I know some of you will, but otherwise, choose a date and time that suits you, and I will see you online. Enjoy your weekends, guys. Love to see you all. And look, it was torrential rain here 10 minutes ago, and now the sun is out. So go and enjoy. See you next time.